And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing? Welcome to 25-8 Games, where we are currently in our video gaming division, and I'm excited today to be bringing on a special guest, the one, the only, the man that's got the vision for Kronoseum's beautiful artwork. It's gonna be Ricardo. Woo! Clap it up, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
Let's go. How we doing, Ricardo? I want to thank you for taking some time today. I know you're deep in the weeds of Barricade, and we're excited to talk about some updates you have. But before we do that, how is life going?
Good. Just cranking away.
Just
you know,
taking care of business. I mean, I gotta say, we've been. I think we're at a month now of you doing stuff at this point, right? And it's crazy just seeing how much progress you've already done in this short amount of time, and it's getting people excited seeing all these updates that you've been giving us over the past month here, and I'm excited too because you have updates that I haven't even seen yet. So today's kind of a special little video. So what we're gonna do here, I took a lot of questions from the audience. They saw your first steps, and we've been talking a lot about you behind your back. We've been showing the Barricade updates all the way through, and people have questions. Just I guess your experience, why you joined us here at 25-8 Games, what kind of brought you to Kronoseum, and also a lot of questions about what is it like being a video game artist, especially with someone with experience like yourself. So I'm going to try to keep myself shut up for most of this because today's about you, not me. So the floor is all yours. Let's just, I guess, start off with these questions that I have about your background and career. I mean, the first ones that kind of should get the ball rolling for us is, how did you first get started in the video game industry? What was your first experience creating art for games? I think that's honestly the best way we can go from here. So take it away, Ricardo.
Well, I entered the industry in 1999. So
can I tell you something? I was like 6 years old at that time. I was playing my Dreamcast and Nintendo 64s.
So nobody in the industry back then was nobody was graduating from any kind of video game art, programs. They didn't exist. So I actually have a fine art degree, and I'm originally from Miami, and I had gone to school in New York, and of course New York is super expensive, even back in 1999.
Not much has changed.
No, it's it's always been crazy expensive. So decided to move back, and then I just kind of stumbled upon an opportunity to work on a video game. It was called Big Game Hunter. It was being made in a city called Hollywood near Miami, but it was like a 30-mile commute every day. And I was basically learning on the job how to use 3D programs. And that's how I got my start. I got my buddy a job. I was actually working with cousins of mine on it as well. And was able to learn a lot. Once Activision actually bought the studio for the rights to Cabela's Big Game Hunter. And then they went off and did their own thing and with it. But then so they shut the studio down, and myself and a high school buddy and somebody else from the studio, we all got jobs at Midway in Chicago. A lot of people know that for kind of Blitz and Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. So I was the character artist on the last Blitz.
Yeah, and then you went from Midway to Activision, right? And then you had some time at 2K, right?
Well, Activision was actually the studio I went from, right? Technically, I wasn't actually in Activision. It was just kind of like a satellite studio that they just closed down. But then I went from I was at Midway for almost a decade.
Wow.
I worked on a bunch of different titles. I was a art director on a couple of their basketball titles, character artist on Blitz, and we dabbling, helping out different projects, like one project called Stranglehold and Mortal Kombat. I did some material work for one of their cinematics.
Oh man!
So little things, but it was always exciting to kind of get to work on it. And I actually helped with their initial creative player system, way back when, and whatever title that came out in 2009, because essentially Midway closed its doors. 2008 financial crisis. So I ended up at 2K Games. I did all the head art, practically, me and an outsourcing company in China did all the heads for 2K 10, whatever, MLB title.
So more sports games, right?
Yeah, it was a sports game. So it was basically just doing something like 400 portraits. Or something.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
No shortage of work on that. It sounds like.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
I actually had a question about. Someone asked about your 2K experience. Did you happen to ever like even briefly touch on the games like Civilization or Mafia, anything like that?
No. This was like this studio, which is in like Northern California, pretty primarily does like all sports titles. So they were working on, what was it? There was like it was like different internal studios, and like this internal studio was doing like the NBA title and the MLB title, and then they're kind of like trying to do something with football, but it was I don't think it was just exploratory. But yeah, it was kind of like in the sports division of 2K.
Yeah, 2K was massive in those days. Like they were working on so many titles. I don't. Do they still do?
Yeah, it was that kind of steampunky game that was being developed on the first floor. I'm blanking on the name.
BioShock, is that the one?
Yeah, it's BioShock.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I actually know some people that worked on that. Yeah. So I guess that
was cool.
And then after 2K, you went. I'm already forgetting. You've been in so many places.
Yeah. So then, like my art director on the MLB title, he got an opportunity to work at a German Zynga-like company called Big Point.
Okay.
So he kind of took me with him in a way, yeah. And so I worked with him on that, doing a bunch of like different little web titles. But it was fun. It was a really fun atmosphere. It was just like everybody would hang out, like made a lot of good friends during that time. But it was more about socializing than actually like doing anything that was to further my career. From there, that company basically like we even like went to like Vegas. It was a fun trip.
Okay.
the CEO of the company was a big fan of what's that movie? I'm forgetting. It was really popular at the time, like 2013 or so. The Hangover.
Gosh. Hangover. Yes, there we go.
He basically wanted to like recreate the Hangover, and he took the whole studio. He even we have a wedding with a tiger.
Oh man.
A wedding with a tiger and a hotel room.
No kidding. Oh my god.
They got one of the tigers from the Vegas show, and he paid the money, to walk it down the casino floor, up into the rooms through the hallways, and there was like a glass partition between me and like this full-grown Bengal tiger.
You didn't want to cuddle it?
Insane. No.
I feel like we should be talking more about this than the actual game stuff.
Yeah,
you didn't tell me this one before.
That was a crazy week. That was fun. So it was worth being part of that crew for that experience.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean,
it was a Star Wars themed wedding.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty wacky.
Holy cow. Yeah, sometimes, it's not about the money. It's just about the fun and friends you make along the way, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that era of my life was definitely about, having those kind of moments.
No regrets, right?
No. Yeah, so it was like, then from there, we went to a group of us after that company closed its doors. We went to a very similar type of company, and we were doing a kind of a cool project. I really liked it. It was basically League of Legends. They wanted to make it a web version.
Oh, okay.
Which was always going to kind of fail. They had like real optimistic about making it work in a browser. And most of us pros, like kind of, we've been around the block. We know what's viable, what's not viable. And we all kind of knew that's not, it's never going to be performance. It's never going to be a title that, I don't know. We were just like, well, we'll see if the programs can make it work. But it was fun. I mean, I was a big fan of the game of League of Legends at the time, and we were doing a lot of playtesting. It was kind of a big part of the process of developing characters was kind of like playtesting the kit, making sure that's fun and like it's balanced with the other kits. And it also kind of learned a lot about that kind of design process just through doing and like iteration and like the concept of failing fast, right? Like. That you basically want to, you're going to learn the most from failing.
Oh yeah, I can speak on that personally as well.
Failure, right? Like you're not going to learn much from a success.
No,
just learning that like that it's a process, and it's gonna take a number of iterations to get it right, and setting yourself up to acknowledge that fact and, you know, embrace the fact, right, as opposed to, like, you know, hoping that you're gonna get it right that first time. I can guarantee you, it's like after doing this for 20 something years, you know, it's never gonna happen. It never happened once.
Never happened once.
Say it that way. Yeah. So hope is not a strategy.
Nope.
That's yeah.
Hope is nope.
Yeah. And then from there, I got to work on a cool company. I landed a job as a lead character artist at Telltale Games. They're doing like a kind of choose your own adventure type of game. And it seems like a real cool project. It was a Batman title. So it was like, you know, really hyped to be part of it. But the company did not make very good business decisions. It was programmer owned and run for too long.
I see.
They pivoted to a CEO way too late. The CEO basically he showed up, he looked at the numbers, and he's like, okay, this is how we're going to close the studio. It's like, this is a no-win situation. They waited till they were in a no-win situation.
I see. Okay.
Unfortunate. Yeah. They tried to run with a proprietary software, an engine that the founder built.
Okay.
And he couldn't let go of it. And Unreal's around, and everybody knew that the answer was just
use Unreal.
Use Unreal.
Don't reinvent the wheel, right?
And it was insane. Like the things that you had to do to get. Basically, we're right now. We're in the process of making cinematic for Kronoseum. Right. We're doing it Unreal, and it's going to be, you know, like maybe like 4 of us to get it done. It took, for what we're doing for Kronoseum, was taking like a group of 30 people like 6 months to do.
Oh my gosh. I don't think we could do that here.
Complete insanity.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
You had to do like the things to get like the scene that you were working on into Unreal was all these like insane like just having 2 objects that would sync up with each other was a trial and error. Like you couldn't just like have a guy grab a cup. What are we doing?
We need to have a couple meetings on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a problem, and like
sometimes it gets too big for itself, right?
The blood was in the water, and ended up moving back to Chicago, where I hooked up with a bunch of ex-Midway guys, including Parker. We worked at Phosphor Games for a while. We did a bunch of titles. We did a bunch of titles that didn't make it to market. Like we worked on a bunch of, things. I personally, like Parker, was actually at Phosphor a lot longer than I was. But we were working on a Walking Dead title for like Apple. We had gotten a contract through Apple, so that's the first project I started work on at Phosphor, and unfortunately got lost funding, and that's, if you want to know what the gaming world is like, you get used to that feeling. That happens. Very often.
I've been opening up the curtain a little bit to the viewers because, everyone, even including myself, until the past couple of years, you just kind of see the end product and you assume that, games don't make it, but just the sheer amount of games that they're in process and they'll get axed off close to the finish line or whatever the case might be. So, it's a lot of stuff goes on.
I mean, I wonder, it's like maybe 20% make it to market.
Yeah. And if it's mobile, it's probably even smaller, right?
Yeah.
It's
I wonder what it really is. I don't really know the numbers, but
it's kind of hard to tell because there's so many projects we don't hear about, right?
Yeah, that you don't even know even existed. You didn't even know that they were in process. So it's kind of sad. Yeah, and it is heartbreaking the first couple times, and then
I guess you get battle hardened,
right?
Just
get used to it. Yeah. You just like learn to not hold on to it and. Yeah, just look forward to the next opportunity you have to work on a cool game.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a little bit of that experience with I've talked about it. It's a little bit about the past couple things that I've worked on. This is the one that's it's starting to gain momentum. It's just the nature of the business. It's just how it goes. And you just kind of got to learn the lessons from the previous projects, get a bit battle hardened, and take that experience to the next one. That's why I'm really happy to have you here because you're talking about failures and all these different projects, and you're coming at this with. The experience that not a lot of people can share, especially since you said you were kind of there in those early days of developing video games. There was no formal education or anything like that. You just You were there
Yeah.
on ground zero, basically, with all this.
And I got to hear some stories, some wild stuff that went on before us. Like Midway was a wild place before it became the place that I worked at.
Yeah, because they did a ton of arcade stuff, right?
Yeah, and it was like a lot of interesting stories that maybe if people are interested, we could share some of that stuff. And
I have a feeling people are going to love to chat with you a bit more. I guess, Phosphor Games, that was the last place you were at, right? Before.
Well, Phosphor then got bought out by a Polish company called People Can Fly.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And they've been doing like work with like Gears of War and like some big titles. They've been doing like contract work, and they wanted to do their own title. They got they kind of bought our studio as a way to kind of create like a group of people that did like we did a good title called and terrible with names actually.
Too many games.
We made a Warhammer. Yeah, we made a Warhammer like a shooter. Forgot exactly what the name is. Anyways, that was kind of got received really well, and it impressed the CEO of the company. So he took us on. We took on like a pretty good art director from Riot Games, and we were making a really cool title that unfortunately would never see the light of day.
Another one bites the dust, as the song goes, right?
Yeah. It had some really cool stuff, and I don't know if I'm allowed to even.
Yeah, I don't want you getting in trouble.
Exactly. But that's that game would have been pretty cool, but.
So out of all these games and places you've worked at, obviously Kronoseum's the best game ever. What was
absolutely.
I had a lot of questions asking about like what was your favorite game you worked on? What was like your favorite character that you've ever created over these 20 plus years you've been making games?
Well, in that last project from People Can Fly, I would have to say it was probably my favorite.
And you can't even talk about it.
I can't talk about it. I can't show you. Like
you gotta believe you.
I made this pretty cool like epic like a boss monster. It was a werewolf, and a bunch of like effects that we were able to kind of like pull off on it. Just it's a big ball of fur, with some little bits sticking out of it. But the animators had done a really great job with it, just because it was just like the first boss monster. So that one was definitely. Unfortunately, not anything I could like show. But
we'll try to paint a picture in our head. How about this? I probably could ask you a more general question too about this. Another question before we kind of talk more about Kronoseum specific stuff. People were asking, like you've worked across many styles and genres, from sports games to shooter games and whatnot. What was your favorite genre and art style that you've worked on over these years? If you could pick like a specific one.
I do dig this kind of like, and I think Kronoseum has a bit of it, like quite a bit of it. This kind of like stylized realism. I think I would say like an arcane kind of vibe, like from the series where it's a little bit hand painted. I mean, maybe we're gonna take this is a little bit less that, but I guess in my last project that was. I felt was like kind of cutting edge at the moment, right? Like taking kind of like this stylized digital art to kind of the next plane. It was like in that show Arcane, Netflix, and I think that's really inspired a lot of people in the industry. And I think been being pursued a lot. I'd say that's where my kind of like brain wants to go. I think. Also, like, it's kind of like the anime, I guess the kind of Street Fighter kind of style, you would say.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that was kind of popularized in comics by Joe Madureira. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But Joe Mad, he had his own company. He did, like, Darksiders.
Okay.
That translation of, like, that kind of, like, stylized comic book art that has, like, influence from, like Street Fighter. It's like an Americanized manga style where you have like all these kind of like exaggerated proportions, and I'm not so much about like the giant sword,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But it's
That
more
20-foot swords, right?
yeah. But it's more like the edges, like how the edges of like armor is treated. Um, how like it has a kind of physicality, like a dog would have, like you could see the lips, like the inner lips, and like how the lips are bending around the teeth, for example, right? Like that kind of like detail where it kind of has like is an exaggerated but still grounded in reality, and like yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I really appreciate.
And it sounds like that makes a good transition to Kronoseum itself, and just said we're kind of bringing a little bit about that. You know, so you've had 20 plus years of experience that you went over with us. What ultimately attracted you here? Because when I reached out to you, you know, it was just kind of on a limb. You weren't going to find anything about this project, so I was being very hush-hush as I was kind of, you know, going through all this early pre-production stuff. So when we finally met, and then you're like, yeah, I want to be involved, and, you know, then you got Parker to hop on the train too. What was it that attracted you to this project when you first heard about it?
Well, it was the pitch. I mean, I think it's the pitch and like your the pitch video that you like, those kind of assets that you showed me that like yeah, there's like the project has a world already kind of being built around it, like, you know, kind of like a lot of kind of the groundwork for making a compelling experience. I felt is like there, like it has like this neat idea of like the colliding worlds is actually really compelling for me, and yeah, and the characters and the concept are just very exciting, right? Like I think that the idea of combining two different characters' abilities together is not something that's been explored very much,
especially in VR.
Yeah. So I think those are the big bullet points for like why I was quick to get on board.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to boost your ego too much, but when I met with you, it's like, oh, Ricardo's perfect for this project. I hope he likes it. And then I was so excited when you got back to me, like, yeah, let's do this. And by the way, I know another guy that's interested in this too. So it's really cool that you grabbed onto that excitement. You understood the world like pretty much right away, and you already had all these ideas. You were firing on all cylinders. So I really appreciate that. You saw this as a fun opportunity, because you could have, you know, found the other fun stuff to do in your time, and it means a lot that you're spending it here, and the work that you've done, especially the first one's great.
These are fun projects. Like I would say, like one thing that I've kind of tried to build my resume to be part of projects like this, because the corporate, you know, like getting a job at one of the big studios, you're literally a cog in the machine. Like, it's
funny, someone was actually asking a question, if you feel I guess it's something like feel more creatively free potentially on a project like this. I don't know if that's
if you work on Call of Duty, like you're literally getting a 3D picture of a rock and making it work in the game. Literally,
you're the rock specialist.
The art job. Like, no, it's like you're taking 3D scans of everything and just make like you're a janitor.
Yeah, so here you get I guess it's kind of a pro and con. When I came to you, I mean, of course I had the rough idea, but it's kind of a blank canvas. It's like, all right, what do we do with this? So it's both a good and a bad thing. You have this fresh ground to kind of make something, but you got to figure out what do you make that's special. So I'm glad you kind of see it that way, where you're not just a cog in the machine, and you have hands on and kind of guiding the direction of what this game looks like here. And actually, on that note, I guess with that direction, how you guide it, I had a lot of questions about your design process and workflow that people sent in. So I don't know. I'm sure all these kind of touch on what you do. Like people are asking, like from the initial scope, the block out, the final texture. How do you take a character from the concept to the fully realized in game? So maybe this is a great point to kind of stop and talk about, like, how do you actually do your job as an artist over these years, and especially in Kronoseum?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because this job has changed. Like every 3 or 4 years, it's completely different. Like what I learned doing, like I don't know that I do any of it in today's kind of process, and I'm sure like there's other people do a completely different process, right? But I think I'm a little bit of a mix of like old school and kind of new school, just kind of like a little bit of a hybrid. I basically just take your concept art, take the concept art that's available, and like basically trace it in 3D. Like to get the proportions exactly right. Like there's really no substitute for like literally putting your concept art on a plane in your 3D package, and then like basically like taking a real simple amount of geometry and just like keeping it as simple as you can get away with, as far as long as you can get away with, and breaking down objects into ways that will work for, you want to maintain your quads as much as possible. So it's kind of about planning like your kind of game plan on how to do each kind of component of whether it's armor or what have you. It's just kind of breaking down into kind of components that you can, it's definitely separating by like material and having an idea of like what you can get away with in materials versus like sculpting it completely. Yeah, it's a lot of kind of like guessing, and then sometimes you're wrong, right? Like I even like on Barricade, like I was planning on like doing, he's got this insignia on his shoulder,
yeah,
on his big shoulder pad. I was like, maybe I can do that in Substance. And when I did, I got it baked out and I started putting the embossed insignia. It just didn't feel right, so I just went and built it in 3D package, and then modified my UVs and like basically baked everything out again. And then now, it's kind of like a trial and error, and like just doing that. The concept of failing fast, just like
failing fast, yeah.
Like here's my theory. This is what I think I can get away with. But if it doesn't work, accepting that the failure quickly and doing the correction, so you don't waste time and doing all the polish work around it when that's just not going to work. Learning how to discern that is very important. And
actually, speaking of the challenges, people were asking in Kronoseum, because I guess to clarify what you're doing for Kronoseum, you're kind of touching all these different aspects of art, from the characters. We're going to be doing VFX, UI. I know Parker's doing a lot of the environment stuff. So you kind of got your hands on all these things. What would you say is going to be the biggest challenge for someone like what you're doing with the art for a game like Kronoseum at this stage?
I think cloth animation, probably.
Yeah, I told people that you wanted to cut the cape off. I'm like, no, I need the cape. I love the cape, and I'm glad you kept the cape.
I mean, especially I think especially Valeria is all a lot of cloth, right? Like hair. When you see hair, it's basically for a video game artist that you're basically approaching it the same way. Like to give it life, you're gonna have to put bones in it and treat it like a cloth object. So like when we cloth and hair, you kind of lump it in the same thing, because it's gonna require making sure it's not interpenetrating stuff, like especially when you get it in the scene, right? Like you have your animation package and it's just kind of floating around in empty space, but then once you get in the scene, now it's like and the hair is like going through light poles and rocks on the ground. So you're gonna have to kind of deal with those situations, but those are kind of the cleanup kind of things at the end. But yeah, sometimes can be kind of tricky. Like it's depending on whether if you're using a kind of like real-time solution, like a cloth physics in the game, like in real time, or you're baking this stuff out, that you actually have more control when it's baked out, but you actually have to do all the work manually. So for a full game, that's real challenging. But I think for a cinematic, that's probably the way to go, as opposed to, because you actually have control.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing, like you probably want to do a physics solution for the game, because there's a lot of animations that you can't, it's going to be depending on different factors, but typically a solution that a lot of game companies choose is just because it's not canned, so it's going to react to the environment. It's going to react more naturally, and people, I think, will just prefer that. It just kind of feels more like real life when it's like, because there's all these like little animations that people don't realize that actually exists. There's like all these transitions, like turning to the left, turning to the right, going backwards, going forward.
Yeah,
like
the cape's gonna go into the body,
like,
right? If we go backwards,
right?
Yeah,
and like it's all those animations and like blending them that just make it untenable to kind of, you know, go through any kind of like, you'd have to kind of like really lock in like, this is never gonna change. and then you can deal with but that's just never the case, right? Like, yeah.
And I'm guessing VR probably adds to some of the challenges too, because there's some questions like more VR specific. Because when I made this announcement, people were like, oh, the Kronoseum looks cool, and then like the VR thing caught them off guard, like, oh, VR, why VR? And I kind of explained a lot of the reasoning behind you know, VR from both a passion and also there's a big market opportunity for, you know, this game on the world of VR. But does that change much? Like, people are asking, like, does developing, I feel like at this stage, I don't want to speak for you, but like what you're doing right now doesn't really seem to be too much different from a VR versus console mobile type of game. But I guess people just want to know, like, what's going to differ from a VR versus something more traditional like a console mobile experience or what have you?
One of the biggest differences is that essentially to render a VR game, you're essentially rendering it twice. One for like the left eye and one for the right eye. So that means that you basically have half the budget of any other title, like a console title. Like if you can afford like 40,000 triangles, let's say for a character, like Fortnite is around 45K for their characters. So that means that we can only allot about half, and that's just because, you know, there's other mitigating factors, right? Like we're probably not going to have as many characters as, you know, so like maybe we can get the performance back up, but like in the general, you know, kind of general sense, like just kind of have something to compare to, right? That people kind of are acquainted with. That would be, you know, I mean, I'm thinking we're probably going to be in the ballpark of 40K, just because, you know, depending on how many characters we have on screen. But then, you know, that means that effects are also rendered twice, and to have nice effects, you need to have a number of particles. They get expensive. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is just the performance, like having to pay for everything twice. It can feel very limiting at times. And yeah, we're going to have to see how we can overcome some of that. And just you know, the old school trickery that we have at our fingertips. And then the other thing that I think is very different about VR is just dealing with nausea. Like,
yeah,
that's a big issue. Just traversing the world, certain effect, like it makes like certain combat maneuvers like that you would do in a different game, but without thinking about it, like doing a forward dash in this game will be jarring.
I know we were talking about early on, like what's Hoshiru's dash going to look like. I know we were talking about maybe like kind of like a shadow type of dash or something. It kind of looks cool, but it's also helps with nausea. Yeah,
limiting, like giving the player tunnel vision actually helps mitigate. We found that helps mitigate the effects on the human brain. And if you're playing a VR game and you can experience that, and that's kind of why it's being done, because it really apparently it affects the majority of people, I think. But it does vary from person to person. But
I think when I talked to Parker, or he mentioned that when I think it was World of Mechs, right? That was a VR game. They built out the cockpit to kind of help with that nausea, but in a more creative way, right? So there are ways to get around it, but that is definitely, I would say too, just from what I understand as well. Yeah, the comfort is going to be a big thing. Like I introduced Dan Adams joining our team, and he has this really cool wormhole portal effect that he worked on a while ago. And it's cool, but there's all this like warping and, you know, bending that might be a bit more challenging in VR from a comfort standpoint. So I think that kind of shows the things we have to keep in mind, and that's why, again, because you've worked on several VR games, that you already kind of know some of the tricks of the trade to make that a bit more digestible for players.
Yeah. But definitely Parker has been, you know, he's more the VR guru. I helped on the titles that he was working on, but he was more of the lead on those than myself. So he's more of the VR guru. I would have to kind of give him his flowers for that. I'm definitely aware of like all the pitfalls.
And I guess one last question about VR before we kind of wrap this up here. You know, VR is kind of an interesting world. It's kind of a I'm not to say that it's going to be at the size of where mobile devices were, but it kind of feels like it's in those days where mobile was starting to take off. What would you say is the most exciting portion of, I guess, VR and Kronoseum that you're looking forward to most?
I mean, teleporting. I mean, honestly, like I'm imagining the combos you could do with Hoshiro and Valeria.
Mm-hmm.
Teleporting into melee.
Oh man!
Like, if you're like that, seems real dirty. Like if people are gonna be like, "Oh, this is not fair," but it should be like interesting balancing that, and yeah, it's just like it's also like. Just like teleporting, even like the kind of thing that we're kind of setting up in the little video that we're producing, I think that's like a fun, like, oh my god moment.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we want to give away, but
people know the general idea of what we're trying to. I told that the big like the secret sauce that we're trying to figure out is the whole shield and the fire and the portal, big kaboom. That was in the world of VR, being able to do something like that is awesome. People, they know what we're looking to do, but I guess kind of how we're getting there is the secret sauce that we're kind of working on right now. But I agree.
And it's all the emergent kind of gameplay that arises from giving people these powerful abilities and just like letting them break our game in a way. Like,
well, actually, I haven't.
That's fun. It's fun.
And I haven't introduced him yet, but I mentioned that we brought out a game designer that you know very well, and he's already kind of looking through the initial documentation I have, and he's already trying to kind of figure out how do you do that, because it's a lot to unpack, and especially in VR with some of the challenges you've mentioned before. And I'm looking forward to introducing him, as well as talking about how we're trying to iterate some of these prototype concepts for these characters. So it's the part I'd say I'm most looking forward to as well. The maps are cool, the characters on individual level are cool, but once you kind of let the chaos ensue with everyone coming together, and of course we want to have more characters too, so how does that add on the chaos? It's going to be a lot of fun trying to navigate through that.
And then, doing like a beachgoer barricade. I can look forward to that, putting him in like some flip flops.
Yeah,
and
we got to do summer
sunscreen.
You've been seeing some
of his nose, a big white zinc on.
You've been seeing some of the skins I've been working on with Kevru, our outsourced art partner, and we got to do it for next year. We got to do like a summer skin concepts or something like that.
Yeah. I'm all about the humorous skins.
Yes,
that's my personal. I love a good humor skin.
Yeah, I think there's so many fun ideas that we have with the skins. It's for this initial Kickstarter release, we're like only planning on doing just one of them. Just already the ones we have are so cool, but I would definitely love to do some more humorous ones like that. I think even Marvel Rivals does some funny ones like that. So I think it'd be kind of fun to do something here at Barricade with his sunscreen.
Yeah, it's still in his armor though.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
but with like Crocs or like flip flops.
Yes. We'll make sure that's a top priority for you. We'll stop everything, and you can put all your effort into that. I guess the last
everything.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, stop everything. All hands on deck for this one. I guess they'll kind of wrap this up. I feel like we could talk forever. The last questions that I have. First and foremost, you're working on Barricade first. I'll let you speak. I think you told me why you picked Barricade first, but people are asking, which out of the starting three that we're working on, which is your favorite that you're looking forward to making the most?
I mean, I'm a sucker for the samurai.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my personality, I guess. I don't know why I developed that, but
we all have an inner samurai in us, or inner knight somewhere.
Yeah, like D&D. I grew up playing D&D.
It's a shame that we moved from us wearing armor, whatever, medieval armor or feudal Japan armor. Now we're just wearing t-shirts and shorts. I feel like we got to go back to that, because you
get a top knot.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, and because you're doing Barricade first, because you think out of all of them, those were that's probably the easiest one to do first, right? I think that's what you told me. From just the 3D modeling.
Yeah, and because we need to have the shield and the gun. I think probably as props for for cinematic purposes.
Yeah,
especially the shield, because it's a prop in a bunch of the cinematics. So I thought that's why it made sense to use him first. It's more like logistical than anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And let me see if I have anything else here. I guess. All right. Yeah. I guess final question. Someone asked if you could describe your vision for Kronoseum's world in one word. What would it be? Like what's like your one word that's going to guide what you're doing moving forward here?
Oh, as a guide? Oh,
yeah.
I find it hard to use one word.
All right, then give me a phrase then. I'll bend the rules that they gave me a little bit.
Stylized cool is kind of
stylized
two
cool?
word.
Listen, if you got the word cool in your name, the game's going to be the biggest hit of all time, right? We want cool games at the end of the day, right? It's pretty simple. We're not too hard to please. We just want cool games. Well, my friend Ricardo, this has been an absolute joy. I know you want to get back into it. I promised you it'd be 30 minutes. We're over, so I thank you for the time that you've given me. I don't know if you want to maybe say any last words before we sign off here. If you're down for it, I'm sure people would be down for it as well. I would love to do something like this again. We actually didn't even really talk about your update that you had for Barricade.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if you want to talk about it real quick. You could send me a screenshot. I'll throw it in the video.
Oh, I could share my screen.
Oh, yeah. That works out great. Yeah, I'll get that set up logistically on my side. So, yeah, share your screen, and I will capture that here. And, oh, perfect. Look at that. Awesome.
So, this is just really early. It just got baked in. It's kind of starting to drop in some details, but yeah.
Man, I love it. Yeah, it's cool seeing the armor cracks coming to life, or the fracture cracks.
Yeah, it's not to bake the cape out and stuff, but yeah, I think it's coming along.
Man, I'm so jealous. I wish I could do what you do. It's so cool. Like you took a picture, and now it's 3D, and now you're gonna make it move, and he's gonna be having a blaster. It's like, man, that's out of the three core pillars of a video game studio. You got your design, you got your tech, and the art. I mean, the art's it's got to be the coolest part of it all, and it's the thing fun, that people remember much.
It can be. It's work. At the end of the day, it's like a lot of steps.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool seeing all those little steps come to life from just from when I had an idea, and then you got those 2D sketches, and then you're bringing to life, and it's so cool. And this is only the first character out of hopefully many more to come, and we look forward to seeing your talent at work here. And I cut you off earlier. I was going to say, if you have any last words, I don't know, words of encouragement, optimism, whatever you want, I don't know, let us know, and then we'll sign you off here.
I'm not good with last words and words
How about
of encouragement.
You say goodbye, I say hello. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm more the Irish goodbye.
Irish goodbye. Yeah, my family's the opposite. They're the Italian goodbye, where you say goodbye like 30 times.
Oh, right, the opposite. Right? Yeah. I'm just like, I'll sneak away.
Yeah, my wife is the Irish goodbye, and I'm the Italian goodbye. When we go to my parents' house, we say goodbye 30 times. We're like, all right, let's go. It's like 12 o'clock in that night or whatever.
Then, but wait. I remember.
Yeah. By the way,
one more thing. Oh wait. Oh yeah. No, but you know what? That reminds me. Yeah.
So, I'm going to cut myself short. Thank you again, Ricardo, so much. And again, if you guys have more questions for another video, maybe we'll do another cool mid-update video for maybe another character or something like that. Let us know down below. And Ricardo, one more round of applause. Woo! All right. I'll stop taking up your time. Always remember, people, it's great to be in the Kronoseum today. That's my tagline right now. I'm working with, I don't know. All right, see you guys later.